that moment of crisis you're experiencing, it has causes. That confusion you feel, it arose from conditions. And here's what matters. When you see this clearly, you discover something remarkable. You find freedom. Over the next few hours, we're going to explore this ancient wisdom together, not as philosophy, but as something you can feel in your own life right now. If it feels right, find somewhere comfortable to settle in, somewhere you can simply be still and listen. This is your time. Think about the last time something upset you. Maybe someone said something thoughtless, or a plan fell through. In that moment, it probably felt like the problem just appeared out of nowhere, like life was randomly throwing obstacles at you. But what if that's not how things actually work? The Buddha discovered something so fundamental, so transformative, that he called it the heart of his awakening. He called it pratitya samutpada, dependent origination. And before your mind says, "That sounds complicated," stay with me, because this is the most practical teaching you'll ever encounter. Here's what it means in the simplest terms. Nothing exists on its own. Not one single thing in your life arose independently. Everything, every feeling, every situation, every moment of joy or suffering came into being because of causes and conditions. Imagine dropping a stone into a still lake. The moment it touches the water, ripples spread outward in every direction. Those ripples touch the shore, interact with the wind, merge with other ripples. Each ripple is both an effect of the stone and a cause of new movements in the water. Your life is like that lake. Every action you take, every word you speak, every thought you hold, these are stones dropping into water. The ripples spread in ways you can see and in ways you cannot. They interact with countless other ripples from countless other sources. And from this vast, intricate web of causes and conditions, your experience arises. This isn't poetry. It's not a metaphor for something mystical. The Buddha was describing the actual mechanics of how reality works. When the Buddha first explained this teaching, he wasn't sitting in a temple giving a formal sermon. He was talking to a wanderer named Kachayana, someone genuinely searching for truth. Kachayana had been caught in the same trap so many of us fall into, thinking in absolutes. Either things exist permanently, or they don't exist at all. Either we have total control, or no control at all. Either everything matters, or nothing matters. The Buddha looked at him with compassion and said something revolutionary. He said the world tends to grasp at two extremes, existence and non-existence. But someone who sees with right understanding doesn't get caught in either extreme. They see that when this exists, that comes to be. When this ceases, that ceases. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But hidden in those words is the key to understanding why your life is the way it is right now. Let's make this personal. That anxiety you feel sometimes, it didn't just appear. It arose from conditions, maybe a thought about the future, a memory from the past, tension in your body, lack of sleep, caffeine, a conversation from yesterday. None of these caused the anxiety alone. They came together, they met, and in that meeting, anxiety arose. And here's what changes everything. If anxiety arose from conditions, it will cease when those conditions change. It's not permanent. It's not who you are. It's a weather pattern moving through the sky of your awareness. The same is true for joy, for peace, for every experience you've ever had. Think about a flower growing in a garden. Did the flower create itself? No. It needed a seed, but the seed alone isn't enough. It needed soil, water, sunlight, the right temperature. It needed the gardener who planted it, the rain that fell, the earth that held it. It needed countless causes stretching back further than we can trace. The evolution of flowering plants, the formation of the earth, the light from a star 93 million miles away. The flower is not separate from these conditions. It is these conditions, expressing themselves in the form we call a flower. You are like that flower. Everything you think of as you, your personality, your reactions, your fears and hopes, arose from conditions. Your childhood, your culture, the books you've read, the people you've loved, the losses you've endured, the meals you've eaten, the sleep you've had. Conditions upon conditions upon conditions, reaching back through generations, through time itself. This is not about removing your agency or saying you're helpless. Actually, it's the opposite. When you understand dependent origination, you realize you have more power than you thought, just not the kind of power you imagined. You can't control the ocean, but you can learn to navigate it. You can't stop ripples from moving through the water, but you can choose what stones you drop. Every moment, you're participating in this web of causation. The thoughts you cultivate become the lens through which you see the world. The words you speak become conditions for how others respond to you. The intentions you hold shape the quality of your actions. And all of this creates ripples. Some immediate, some that won't manifest for years. The Buddha taught that there are different types of conditions. Some are like roots, fundamental causes that give rise to effects. Some are like supports, necessary conditions without which nothing can arise. Some are like the immediate trigger, the final condition that brings something into being. Think about a fire. You need fuel. That's the root condition. You need oxygen. That's the supporting condition. You need a spark. That's the immediate condition. Remove any one of these, and fire cannot exist. Anger works the same way. The root might be an old wound, a belief about how things should be. The support might be stress, exhaustion, feeling unheard. The spark might be one comment, one moment that tips everything over. Understanding this doesn't make the anger disappear instantly, but it shows you where you can work. You can't always control the sparks life throws at you, but you can remove the fuel. You can reduce the supporting conditions. And when you do, even when sparks fly, the fire doesn't catch. Here's something the Buddha emphasized that often gets missed. This isn't just about your personal experience. Everything is woven together. Your suffering and my suffering aren't separate. When you're in pain, it creates conditions that ripple outward to everyone around you. When you find peace, that peace also radiates. We're not isolated islands of consciousness. We're part of an intricate, living web where everything affects everything else. This is why the Buddha taught that genuine wisdom naturally gives rise to compassion. When you truly see dependent origination, you can't help but understand that we're in this together. The boundary between my suffering and your suffering starts to blur. That driver who cut you off in traffic, their action arose from conditions. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they didn't see you. Maybe they're operating from old patterns of aggression that they learned in childhood. This doesn't excuse the action, but it helps you see it clearly. And seeing clearly, you're less likely to add your own stone of anger to the lake, creating more ripples of suffering. The teaching of dependent origination is ultimately a teaching of freedom. When you believe things happen randomly, you feel like a victim of chaos. When you believe everything is predetermined by fate or a cosmic plan, you feel helpless. But when you understand that everything arises from causes and conditions, and that you're constantly participating in creating those conditions, you step into a different relationship with life. You start to see that your choices matter, not because they control everything, but because they're part of the vast web of causation. You become more careful with your thoughts, knowing they create the conditions for future thoughts. You become more conscious of your words, seeing how they ripple out into the world. You pay attention to your actions, understanding that each one plants seeds. And gradually, something shifts. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What conditions gave rise to this?" That question changes everything because it moves you from victimhood to understanding, from helplessness to engagement. The Buddha didn't discover dependent origination through reasoning or philosophy. He saw it directly, the way you might suddenly see the pattern in a complex painting. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Life stops looking like a series of random events or predetermined fate and starts revealing itself as a flowing river of causes and conditions, always changing, always responsive. Right now, as you listen to these words, conditions are present. Maybe you're tired or alert. Maybe something in your life is troubling you or bringing you joy. Maybe you're alone or surrounded by others. All of these conditions are shaping how you hear and understand what's being shared. And what you take from this moment will become a condition for future moments, a new way of seeing, a question that lingers, a sense of possibility. You are not separate from this vast web of causes and conditions. You are one of its expressions, just as a wave is an expression of the ocean. And understanding this, really understanding it, not just intellectually but in your bones, this is the beginning of wisdom. Because when you see how everything arises together, you also begin to see how suffering arises. And that's where we're going next. There's a photograph somewhere, maybe in a drawer, maybe on your phone, of a moment you wanted to hold forever. A day when everything felt right. A person you loved. A version of yourself you miss. And if you're honest, there's an ache when you look at it. Not just nostalgia, but something deeper. A quiet grief for what can never return. The Buddha had a word for this universal experience. He called it anicca, impermanence. And he said it was one of the 3 fundamental characteristics of all existence, not as a pessimistic observation, but as a doorway to freedom. Everything changes. Everything. Your body is changing right now as you listen. Cells dying, new ones forming. Your breath moving in and out. Never the same breath twice. Your thoughts arising and dissolving like clouds in a vast sky. The relationships you treasure, the plans you've made, the person you think you are, all of it flowing, shifting, transforming moment by moment. This isn't meant to frighten you. The Buddha wasn't trying to make life feel meaningless or bleak. He was pointing to something we spend enormous energy trying to deny. And that denial is what causes us to suffer. The Buddha used a metaphor that's been repeated for 25 centuries because it captures something so essential. He said you cannot step into the same river twice. Think about that. A river looks like a single solid thing. You can point to it, name it, say, that's the Mississippi, or that's the Mekong. But actually, a river is just water flowing. The water that was there a moment ago has already moved downstream. New water has taken its place. The river is never the same river, even though we call it by the same name. You are like that river. The person you were 10 years ago, are they still here? The cells of your body have replaced themselves. Your thoughts are different. Your beliefs have shifted. Your experiences have shaped you into someone new. And yet we say, I am the same person. We create a sense of solid, unchanging self, where actually there's just flow. This isn't philosophy. This is direct observation of reality. The problem isn't that things change. Change is simply the nature of reality. The problem is that we want things to stay the same. We grasp at moments, trying to freeze them. We cling to people, terrified of losing them. We hold tight to ideas about how life should be, and when reality refuses to cooperate, we suffer. The Buddha taught that this clinging, this thirst for permanence in a world of impermanence, is the root of dukkha, of suffering. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. The harder you grasp, the more you suffer. There's a story the Buddha's monks told about a young mother named Kisa Gotami. She lived in a small village, and her baby son was the light of her life. She poured everything into caring for him, all her love, all her hope, all her dreams for the future. Then one day, her son became ill, and within hours, he died in her arms. Kisa Gotami couldn't accept it. She refused to believe her child was gone. She carried his small body through the village, going door to door, begging for medicine that could bring him back to life. People looked at her with pity and sorrow, but no one could help. Finally, someone said, "There's a teacher, the Buddha. Perhaps he can help you." So Kisa Gotami went to the Buddha, still holding her dead child. She fell at his feet and pleaded, "Please, give me medicine to cure my son." The Buddha looked at her with infinite compassion. He didn't tell her that her son was dead. He didn't lecture her about acceptance. Instead, he said gently, "I can help you, but first, you must bring me a handful of mustard seeds. They must come from a household where no one has ever died." Kisa Gotami felt a surge of hope. This seemed like a simple task. She went from house to house, asking for mustard seeds. At the first house, they offered her seeds immediately. "But," she asked, "has anyone in your family ever died?" "Oh yes," they said sadly. "We lost our grandmother last year." She moved to the next house, and the next. Everywhere she went, people were willing to give her mustard seeds. But in every single household, someone had died. A father, a sister, a child, a beloved friend. As the sun set, Kisa Gotami finally understood. She found a quiet place and laid her son to rest. Then she returned to the Buddha, and this time, her eyes were different. The wild desperation was gone, replaced by a deep, quiet understanding. "I could not find a single house untouched by death," she said softly. The Buddha nodded. "You thought you were alone in your grief, but death comes to all beings. This is the nature of life. Those who we love, those who we are, all subject to change, to aging, to death. No one escapes this truth." And right there, in the midst of her profound loss, Kisa Gotami found something unexpected. Not the removal of her grief, but a kind of peace within it. An understanding that her suffering was not a personal punishment, but a shared human experience. She became one of the Buddha's followers, and it's said she eventually reached deep liberation. Now, here's what most people misunderstand about impermanence. They think the Buddha was teaching us to expect loss, to brace ourselves for inevitable disappointment, to somehow become cold or detached from life. But that's not it at all. Understanding impermanence isn't about caring less. It's about being fully present with what is here, right now, precisely because it won't last forever. There's a teaching that comes from Zen Buddhism about autumn trees. Watch a tree as fall arrives. Its leaves turn brilliant colors: gold, crimson, amber, a final burst of beauty before they fall. The tree doesn't cling to its leaves. It doesn't suffer as they drop away, one by one. It doesn't try to hold on to summer or resist the coming winter. The tree simply lets go, and in that letting go, there's a kind of grace. The leaves fall, and the tree stands bare and beautiful in its own way. Then spring comes, and new leaves grow, not the same leaves, but new life emerging from the same trunk, the same roots. This is the rhythm of existence. Nothing stays, but nothing is truly lost either. Everything transforms. When you really understand impermanence, not just intellectually, but in your lived experience, it changes how you relate to everything. You stop taking moments for granted. That ordinary Tuesday morning with coffee and sunlight streaming through the window becomes precious because you know it's unrepeatable. The people you love become more dear, not less, because you understand that your time together is limited and therefore sacred. You also stop clinging so desperately to pleasant experiences, trying to make them last forever. You learn to enjoy them fully while they're here, then let them go when they pass. Like holding a butterfly gently in your open palm, appreciating its beauty without grasping, knowing it will fly away, and that's okay. And perhaps most importantly, you develop a different relationship with difficult times. When you're going through something painful, impermanence becomes a refuge. This too will change. This too will pass. Not because you're bypassing the pain or pretending it doesn't matter, but because you understand that it's not permanent, not solid, not the final word on who you are or what your life means. The Buddha taught that there are 3 characteristics that mark all of existence. Impermanence is the first. Everything that arises will cease. Everything that comes together will fall apart. Every beginning contains an ending. This isn't pessimism, it's liberation. Because if everything is impermanent, then your suffering is impermanent too. Your fear is impermanent. Your confusion, your pain, your sense of being stuck, all of it subject to change. Nothing has the power to define you forever, because nothing lasts forever. And right now, in this moment, you can practice with this truth. Notice your breath. It comes in, then it goes out, and that breath is gone, never to return. Another breath arises. Different air, different moment. Your body knows impermanence intimately. Every breath a small death and rebirth. Notice your thoughts. One arises, worry about tomorrow, maybe, or a memory from yesterday. You don't have to push it away. Just watch it. It appeared from nowhere, and if you don't feed it with attention, it dissolves back into nowhere. Another thought arises to take its place. Thoughts like weather patterns, constantly moving through the sky of awareness. Even this moment of listening, it's already gone. The words you heard 10 seconds ago have vanished. New words are arriving. The person you were when this chapter began is not quite the same person listening now. Something has shifted, even if it's subtle. That's impermanence, happening in real time. The Buddha didn't teach impermanence to make you sad. He taught it to wake you up, to help you stop wasting energy fighting against the nature of reality, to show you that freedom isn't found in making things permanent, but in learning to dance with change, to reveal that the very thing you've been resisting, this constant flow and transformation, is actually the doorway to peace. When you stop demanding that life stand still, you can finally be here for the life that is. And that brings us to something crucial, because if everything is impermanent, if there's nothing solid to grasp, then what about you? What about this sense of I that seems so real, so permanent? That's where the teaching goes even deeper. Have you ever watched someone who seems to get away with everything? They lie, they manipulate, they hurt others, and somehow they seem to thrive. Meanwhile, you try to do the right thing, and life feels like an uphill struggle. It's enough to make you wonder if any of it matters. This is where karma gets misunderstood more than almost any other Buddhist teaching. We've turned it into cosmic scorekeeping, a universe that rewards good people and punishes bad ones. We say things like, karma will get them, or that's bad karma, as if there's some invisible judge keeping tabs. But that's not what the Buddha taught at all. The word karma simply means action. More specifically, it means intentional action. The Buddha used the Pali word cetana, intention, volition, the mental impulse behind what you do. And he said something revolutionary. It's not the action itself that creates karma. It's the intention behind it. This changes everything. Two people can do the exact same thing, say the same words, perform the same gesture, and create completely different karma because their intentions are different. One person helps someone because they genuinely care. Another helps because they want something in return, or to look good, or out of guilt. The external action looks identical. The karmic result is entirely different. The Buddha taught that karma operates through three channels: body, speech, and mind. And of these three, mind is primary because every action of body and speech begins with a mental intention. When you speak harsh words, that creates karma but the karma was already forming in your mind before your mouth opened. In the moment of anger, in the intention to hurt or defend yourself. When you act with your body, helping someone or pushing past them on a crowded street, the karma is in the intention driving that action. This is why the Buddha said you can create karma even without moving or speaking. A thought of genuine compassion creates karma. A moment of hatred, even if you never act on it, creates karma. The mind is where everything begins. There's a story that doesn't get told as often, but it captures this perfectly. During the Buddha's time, there was a grand ceremony at a temple. Wealthy merchants and nobles came, each trying to outdo the other with their offerings. They brought elaborate lamps made of gold and silver, filled with the finest oils, burning with tall, impressive flames. Each donor announced their gift loudly, making sure everyone saw their generosity. As the evening went on, a poor woman arrived. She had almost nothing. She'd spent her last coins on a single small lamp, simple clay, filled with just enough oil to burn. She felt embarrassed by how humble her offering was compared to the magnificent lamps surrounding the Buddha. But she approached anyway, placed her small lamp among the hundreds of others, and bowed deeply. As she did, her heart filled with pure devotion. She wasn't thinking about being seen or praised. She wasn't comparing herself to others. She was simply offering what she had with complete sincerity, wishing that all beings could find the light of wisdom. The ceremony ended, and everyone went home. The next morning, the monks came to clear away the lamps. One by one, all the elaborate, expensive lamps had burned out during the night. But there, still burning bright and steady, was the poor woman's single, small lamp. The Buddha smiled when he heard this. He explained to his disciples that the size of the offering meant nothing. What mattered was the purity of intention. The wealthy donors had given from ego, from desire for recognition. The poor woman had given from genuine devotion. Her small lamp carried more merit than all the golden ones combined. This is karma, not some cosmic calculator, measuring the dollar value of your good deeds, not a system of punishment and reward, but the natural consequence of intention meeting action. Think about it in your own life. When you help someone because you genuinely want to ease their burden, how does that feel in your body? There's a kind of warmth, an opening, even if the person never thanks you, even if no one sees what you did. Something in you feels more spacious, more at peace. That's karma creating its result in real time. But when you help someone while resenting it, or because you feel obligated, or because you want them to owe you, even though you're doing a good deed, notice what happens inside you. There's tension, maybe irritation, a sense of burden. The external action is helping, but the internal result is suffering. That's also karma. The Buddha was very clear that karma is not fate. It's not predestination. Yes, Your past actions have created conditions that affect your present experience. But right now, in this moment, you're creating new karma. You're planting new seeds, and those seeds will shape future conditions. The past influences the present, but it doesn't imprison you. This is radically empowering when you really understand it. You might not be able to change what happened yesterday or last year. You can't undo the karma you've already created. But right now, this moment, you have a choice about what intentions you're cultivating, what actions you're taking, what seeds you're planting. If you've been living with patterns of anger, you've probably noticed they tend to perpetuate themselves. Anger becomes a habit. Your mind gets grooved into reactivity. That's karma at work. Each moment of anger makes the next moment of anger more likely. But it's not locked in. The moment you recognize what's happening and choose differently, even if just once, you're creating a new condition, a new possibility. The same is true for any pattern in your life. Why do you keep finding yourself in similar situations? Similar relationships that end the same way? Similar problems at work? It's not because the universe is conspiring against you or because you're cursed. It's because you're carrying habitual intentions, habitual ways of responding that keep creating similar conditions. The Buddha called these sankhara, mental formations, habitual patterns that shape how you perceive and respond to life. They're like grooves in a path that water naturally flows into. The more times water flows that way, the deeper the groove becomes. But you can create new grooves. You can redirect the flow. This is why the Buddha emphasized present moment awareness so strongly, because right now is where karma is being created. Not in the past, which is already gone. Not in the future, which doesn't exist yet. But here, in this immediate moment, in the quality of your intention and attention. When you're aware, really aware, of what's happening in your mind, you gain the ability to choose your response rather than just reacting automatically. You see the impulse of anger arise, and instead of instantly speaking from it, there's a gap, a space where wisdom can operate. That gap is where freedom lives. It's important to understand that karma isn't always immediate. Some seeds sprout quickly. Some take years, even lifetimes according to Buddhist teaching. This is why things can seem unfair in the short term, why people who cause harm might appear to prosper, while good people struggle. But the Buddha taught that karma ripens in its own time, according to conditions. You don't need to worry about tracking it all, keeping score, or trying to calculate the karmic math of your life. That would be exhausting and pointless. Instead, the practice is simpler. Pay attention to your intentions. Notice what's motivating your actions. Are you operating from greed, hatred, or delusion? Or from generosity, compassion, and wisdom? That's all you need to know. There's a beautiful phrase in the Dhammapada, a collection of the Buddha's teachings. It says, "Mind precedes all phenomena. Mind matters most. Everything is mind, made." Your intentions are shaping your world right now, in ways both subtle and profound. Take a moment. Just pause with me here. Notice one intention you're holding right now. It might be as simple as the intention to understand, or the intention to find peace, or maybe there's frustration, or hope, or tiredness. Just notice it. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Just see it clearly. That intention, whatever it is karma in formation. It's creating conditions for the next moment, and the moment after that. And here's the profound part. Simply by seeing it clearly, you've already changed it. Awareness itself transforms karma. The Buddha taught that understanding karma doesn't mean becoming hypervigilant or paranoid about every thought and action. It's not about perfect behavior or never making mistakes. It's about developing a quality of consciousness where you're increasingly aware of the intentions behind your actions and increasingly able to align those intentions with what's wholesome, what leads to less suffering for yourself and others. This is practical wisdom for daily life. It means the next time you're about to speak, pause for just a breath and check your intention. Are you speaking to be right or to be helpful? Are you acting from fear or from clarity? Are you grasping or offering? These small moments of checking in, they're not small at all. They're how you gradually redirect the entire trajectory of your life. And the beautiful thing about karma is that it's never too late. No matter what you've done in the past, no matter what patterns you've created, this moment is fresh. This moment offers a new choice. The seeds you plant right now will grow. What do you want to cultivate? Because karma isn't fate. It's possibility. It's the law that says your choices matter, your intentions have power, and change is always available. Not someday, not after you fix everything else, but now, in the quality of awareness you bring to this present moment. And speaking of this moment, there's something else the Buddha saw with perfect clarity, something about the nature of the one who's making all these choices, having all these intentions, something that, when you see it, transforms everything. Let's pause here for just a moment. Feel your body. Wherever you are right now, notice your breath. Just one full breath in and one full breath out. What the Buddha taught next reveals why we suffer and, more importantly, how we can be free. There's a particular kind of pain that has nothing to do with physical injury. It's the ache of wanting something you can't have, the anxiety of trying to keep something that's slipping away, the restless feeling that this moment, this life, isn't quite enough. The Buddha had a word for this. He called it tanha, often translated as craving or thirst. And he identified it as the root cause of human suffering. This is the second noble truth, and it's worth understanding deeply because it's both the diagnosis of our pain and the pointer toward freedom. Tanha isn't just wanting things. It's a deeper, more pervasive thirst, a constant leaning away from what is toward what we wish were true. It's the mind that's never quite satisfied, always seeking, always grasping, always trying to arrange life into a more comfortable configuration. The Buddha described 3 types of craving. First, there's craving for sensory pleasure, the pull toward anything that feels good, not just obvious things like food or physical comfort, but also pleasant experiences, nice words, beautiful sights, anything that creates a hit of satisfaction. This craving isn't wrong or bad, but notice what happens when you get what you want. The satisfaction doesn't last. Soon, you're hungry again, restless again, wanting the next thing. Think about eating your favorite meal. The first few bites might be wonderful, but by the end, the pleasure has already faded. You're full, but the craving doesn't stop. It just shifts to something else. Maybe now you want dessert, or you're already thinking about tomorrow's pleasure. The nature of sensory craving is that it can never be fully satisfied because pleasant sensations, by their nature, are impermanent. This is why buying things rarely brings lasting happiness. You want something, maybe new clothes, a better phone, a nicer home. You believe getting it will make you happy, and for a moment, maybe it does. But soon the novelty wears off, and the wanting mind is already looking for the next thing. It's not that having nice things is wrong. It's that looking to them for lasting satisfaction is like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. Second, there's craving for existence, the deep desire to be, to become, to establish yourself as someone. This is the drive behind ambition, the need for recognition, the endless project of building and maintaining an identity. I want to be successful, respected, loved, remembered. Again, nothing wrong with growing or achieving, but underneath is often this anxious grasping, a fear that without these things, you'll somehow cease to matter. This kind of craving shows up in subtle ways. The need to be right in an argument isn't really about the facts. It's about maintaining an image of yourself as intelligent or knowledgeable. The discomfort when someone doesn't recognize your contribution isn't about fairness. It's about the craving to be seen, to exist in others' awareness. We're constantly trying to shore up this sense of self, to make it solid and permanent, even though the Buddha taught that this very project is what creates suffering. Notice how much energy goes into maintaining your image of who you are. You dress a certain way, speak a certain way, carefully curate what others see. You feel anxious when that image is threatened. You feel elated when it's confirmed. All of this is craving for existence, the desperate attempt to be someone solid and permanent in a world where everything is fluid and changing. Third, and perhaps most subtle, is craving for non-existence, the wish to escape, to not be, to make uncomfortable things disappear. This shows up as avoidance, numbing, the desperate desire for pain to end. Sometimes it's literal, the exhausted thought, I just want this to be over. Sometimes